All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Mortgage Coach Trust Engine Tuesday morning interview. Literally, for I think since August, I've been focused on what I call the Mortgage Coach 10X Challenge, where it was focused on like interviewing top producing people that are winning in this market. And I don't define that by volume, I define that by gaining market share. Now they do need to be doing some volume, making a living, thriving, but they're probably not breaking any records, but they're gaining market share. So everyone I've interviewed fits that criteria. They are mortgage coaches. They deliver advice, not price, to consumers. So they're advisors, and they're gaining market share with realtors. They're getting new realtor relationships. So I've done that 10x. Um, I don't know, for almost 90 days now, and it's November 28th. We're a matter of days until December, and I want to transition for the month of December. I still want to focus on you need to be an advisor. Like loan officers are going to get crushed going forward. You need to be an advisor to borrowers, and realtors need to respect you as an advisor. They got to look at you as more than just, hey, that's a great loan officer that can close loans on time and has competitive interest rates, and I like them and I trust them. Like those are table stakes going forward. You need to do more than that. And so I thought to kick off this planning season, having Jeremy Forcier on the way home from a family trip. I spent the night at his house, not last night, but the night before. We had an awesome dinner. Thank you for that, Jeremy. Uh, he's a badass cook. Like the man can cook a legit steak, and I'm sure a whole lot more. Uh, and he's got two of the coolest dogs, and we had a great time, bro.
Dude, epic time. I always treasure moments. I did a post this morning on Instagram, and it was about like getting people that stoke your flame, like lighting your flame on fire in life, wanting to win, and you just do that. So surrounding yourself with great people, never miss the opportunity to spend time with great people, and you are at the top of my list. So super appreciate you. We had an absolute blast.
Yeah, and I do want to remind everyone how important it is to spend time with great people and make that the priority. Like I had a long drive ahead of me, and I knew that if I would have left at like 5 in the morning and I was up ready to leave, I would have avoided an hour of traffic. I knew that staying a little bit later, taking a little walk with Jeremy, having a little coffee would put me coming home in LA, right at 5 o'clock. But you know what? I'm like, I'm with fucking Jeremy Force. Oh, excuse my language there. I'm with Jeremy Forcier,
Yeah,
and
that's
and
this
and
flame I'm
and
talking
and,
about.
and by the way, and you do that for me too. I mean, every time I'm
Mhm.
with you, I am more inspired. I get really good ideas, and it's awesome. And so I just want to remind folks going through the holiday, don't look for convenience. Look to be with badass people that you can make better and that make you better. So, with that said, Jeremy, we decided that we were going to do an interview today. Just bringing some of the energy from our one-on-one time, and you picked the topic separation season. So,
Yes.
why did you pick that, and what does that mean?
So I picked separation season. I didn't make up the term. And I love when I hear terms that like I've been trying to articulate. Sometimes I'm not the best at articulating succinctly, like exactly what I'm talking about to my loan officers, to my realtors, to everyone. And like this is market share grab. Market share grabbing is separation season. It's how you separate yourself from others during a season while everyone else is either scared, they're worried, or they're not putting in the work, they aren't doing the deals. This is when we have a huge opportunity to separate ourselves from the competition and from your lesser self. So when I say your lesser self, I feel like we're always trying to be a better version of ourselves. And when we have time to do that, which the reality is we all have time to do that right now, is usually when we get preoccupied with fear, with thoughts that don't make us go into action because we're not busy the way that we want to be. And that is the time when we can double down on relationships, double down on market share, double down on the next 5 years of your career. And you have to remember a season is how long, you guys? Oh, for 3 months, right? There's 12 months in a year, there's 4 seasons. So you have like a season, call it 90 to 120 days to completely separate yourself and gain a ton of market share, be looked at as the expert in your marketplaces, and really pour into your business so that whenever the market turns or whatever, whenever opportunity presents itself, you'll be able not to just seize it, but you'll be able to 10x seize the opportunity. So that's what separation season is. It's doing all the work that you say you want to do to fulfill your dreams, but doing it when it's a little bit slower, when there's a little bit more fear, when you feel like you're not hitting your goals. That's when you can actually separate from the competition. Dave's muted, but what he was saying is that I got the term from Ed Milet. Okay, I was listening to an Ed Milet podcast, and he mentioned, hey, this is separation season. And I literally went, bingo, that's what I've been trying to say. That's what I've been trying to say for the last 4 months, 6 months, whatever it is that it's separation season. That's how we came up with it.
All right. So one thought and then one recommendation. So the thought is, spring home buying 2024 starts now. Like,
Yep.
like, you know, what you do today, the realtors that you meet in January, the conversations that you have now through February will define 70% of your volume next year, because 70% of your volume happens during spring home buying season. It starts today. So that's a thought I heard when I heard Jeremy, share that. Also, I remember asking Jeremy, how you doing? How's production? And he was like, it's winter, bro. Like it's tough, and Jeremy is not a guy that like looks at his competition. He just goes.
No.
And so, one of the things that he did, which I think you told me you've never done it before, is that he I think you used MMI or whatever your company's platform, and he went in to see how does he compare to his peers in his county. And he found out that he's the number one loan officer in Sonoma County, and he didn't know that, but he was looking for, I'm not going to break any records on loans, but I want to make sure I'm still kicking ass compared to my peers. So
Yep.
I also want to push everybody to do that. Like go in, whatever platform you use, and I don't care about where you rank nationally. Where do you rank internally? And you're probably not going to break a production record, but let's benchmark. It's the last couple days of November. By the end of the day or tomorrow, try to find out where are you at in your marketplace, and make that a goal that when you log in a month from now or 2 months from now, you're going up. Whatever your goal is, not everybody wants to be the number one in the county that they live. Jeremy does. But wherever you want to be in the market you live, like start looking at market share, not just loans
Yep.
closed. And trust me, the loans will come. As you gain
So
market share,
Dave,
loans will come.
if I could jump in on there. So what I was telling Dave, the quick story behind that is that what he said is true. Like I've never been one to compare myself to others. I'm always like, what's the best I can do? Because I think I'm number one in my brain. That's like I want to be the best I can be. So we're motivated by three things usually, and it's either pressure, praise, or competition. Okay. And competition has never been my number one, competitive with myself, but I'm trying to be way more competitive. Just for fun is the key. Super competitive, just for fun. Like a pressure is my number one driver personally, which is why I was telling Dave the story was I woke up 2 months ago in a complete panic. Like I just woke up and I was having like an anxiety, and I'm not an anxious person. And I literally woke up and this was my first thought was, what if I've completely fallen off? Like I know that the market's slower. I know that it's harder. People aren't doing as much business. But what if my head is so far in the sand that literally I'm getting crushed by everyone and I have no idea? So I figured out how to use the prospecting tools, the MMI, the core fact. I got the logins. I went on and I was pleasantly surprised only for 10 minutes, just so you know, just for 10 minutes. Okay. So for 10 minutes, I was stoked. And then I still had that fire of that sucks. Like that's great, but who cares? I'm nowhere near what I want to be doing. And then my third feeling was sadness. It was sadness for all the people that are struggling way worse than me. And it made me realize that my loan officers need even more from me. They need, even if I'm feeling this way, I can't imagine how they're feeling. But it is good to know where you rank so that you can try to move up the ladder. Like, how can I move up the ladder? How can I make sure that I'm making progress? It doesn't mean you're less than if you're number 400 or you're number 3 or 1. It doesn't matter. What matters is, are you making progress to get towards the top and staying there when you get there, and sustainability? And that's how you separate yourself, which we'll dive into today.
Hey, real quick, Jeremy. What are your thoughts, during this separation season, to also spend a little bit of time going to your platform, look at the realtors that you're focusing your time and energy at, what their production level's at, and also start, intentionally top grading your agents? Like, during separation season, do you kind of need to think about, like, hey, who's trending up that I'm focused on, and who am I not focused on, but shit, look at the volume they're doing in my county.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
So it's funny. A super thought. So this is one of my bullet points, actually, Dave, that I wrote down.
Well, I
So
didn't want to
part
get
of my
ahead of that.
separate. Well, no, let's just go right to it. Okay. So I learned how to log on and use these tools, right? So all of
And
a
you didn't
sudden,
know
once
how previously. This is new.
had never, ever used them in my entire life. So I went on, learned how to use them. And of course, when I am curious about something, we talk about curiosity a lot. But when I'm curious about something, I tend to dive in. So I dove in, and I'm pulling up the realtors that I work with, the top 100 in the county. And I was shocked that no one's doing anything. Like, it's like unbelievable that the top people are not really doing that many transactions. I am already working with 30% of the top 100 people. Okay.
Wow.
So that's a big percentage, right? 30% I'm closing transactions with. So I was like, okay, well, now I need a list on top of that. So I made a list of 20 people, right, within that list that I am not working with, that I do not know. Maybe I know of them. I have no idea if they know of me. And I'm on a 10-week campaign with these 20 people. The 10-week campaign consists of this. Okay. So I'm getting measurable with this stuff. It is, I want to talk to them 5 times in 10 weeks. I want 2 face-to-face appointments with them in 10 weeks each. I want 1 thank you card to them. I want 1 personal video sent out to them. And I want 1 personal gift sent out to them. Okay, so that is the plan that I'm following. We devised it in the core, the program that I coach for, and I'm executing it. I will tell you, man, it's hard, but it's not as hard as you think. So I've found that the hardest part is going to be getting people to talk to you for the first time, right? Like, getting them to engage with you for the first time. So there's one individual who I noticed has closed a lot, and I had no idea who this person was. His name's Michael, and he runs like this team. I'm sure it's heavy internet. Michael, if you ever watch this, like, call me back, bro. Like, seriously, let's get together. But like, so I did a little research, right? Young guy, and he's doing a lot of units, but it looks like he's got like a team of buyers agents. He's into leadership and he's into building teams. I'm like, dude, my voicemail was, hey, I see that you're kicking butt, even in this market. You're into building teams. I have built teams over the last 10 years. We should talk to each other and share with me what's going on with you. I'll share with you what I've done wrong, what's gone right. And I would love to meet with you about it. No return call. Next day, drop off a John Maxwell leadership book at his office with a handwritten note. I'm checking off my checklist. I want you guys to follow this, right? Gift, handwritten note. Did it at the same time. It's a hack. Do it at the same time. Wasn't in the office, left it there. I get to my car. I shoot a video in my car. Check. 1 unique video. Hey, I just left this at your office. I left you a voicemail the day before. Like, let me know what you think. I'd love to get together when you have a moment. I've called him 4 more times since. Nothing. Literally, I hit him up on Instagram and I was like, hey, man, like, you seem active on here, but you don't ever respond to any messages. I don't think the guy wants to talk to me, obviously, right? But it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get them all, but I am destined to work with this person. I'm destined. I know it, because he just needs to talk with me. That's all it is. He has to talk to me. Like I can help him blow up. I know I can. So you have to have that mindset too. But I'm teaching you the hacks on, yes, I'm failing with that individual. But if I look at some of the others, I've gotten 4 appointments already with the 20, right? So 4 appointments with 4 different people. Now, when you're making these appointments with newer, bigger people, please do not be intimidated. They are the same, just like you. They are the same, just like you. And they will also flake sometimes. Let me give you an example. So last Wednesday, I had an 8 o'clock breakfast meeting with one of these. We call them whales. That doesn't have anything to do with body type. It's just like a big producer, right? So top producer, I call it a whale list. Don't overthink it. Just top producer list, right? Prospecting list. And I'm there and I text them, at 10 after. I'm like, hey, I'm here in the bar and grill, whatever, sitting down. Doesn't come. Another 20 minutes go by. I text, hey, I ordered food. Cool. Another 5 minutes go by. I'm like, hey, I'm going to take off. Let me know that you're alive. And I send him a picture of the bottle of wine and the note card with his name on it that I brought for him, right? Gift. Once again, I'm going off my checklist, handwritten note, face to face. So of course I got the text back. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I was up in the middle of the night with my wife. Who knows if it's right or not? I hope it's true. But the reality is that I got the second appointment tomorrow because of guilt marketing. And I've talked about this in the past, Dave. Don't let these things get in your way. Don't let your ego get in the way. I met with the loan officer yesterday, a recruit who literally said, I just hate working with realtors. They always, and I was like, you got to change that right now, buddy. You got to change that mindset. I got flaked on. I interact. I send a picture of what, hey, you should always meet with me. I even posted it on my story that day. I didn't call the person out, but I was like, this is why you should meet with me and always show up to your appointments. And I had a picture of the bottle with a note card with just the first name on it, right? No one knows who it is, but it's guilt marketing, right? Because they need to know that you are serious about wanting to meet with them. So I am looking up more metric-based numbers right now. And I typically, Dave, have never done that. In the past, you've interviewed me and I'm like, listen, I focus more on energy. Like I like the person, they have a positive attitude. It seems like we could work well together. And that still is of the most importance to me. But in a season, in a winter season, like Game of Thrones, right? In winter is coming season, White Walker season. Like you have to get more focused on who is doing the business if you want to do more business. So I am more focused on it. I am following a checklist. I am learning about them personally. I'm going on Facebook. I'm filling out all about you forms. I know that this individual, Jeff, is raising 4 daughters. I know that he loves wine because he checked into Titus Winery. I know a lot of things about him. I know he went to Chico State University and graduated from there. I know just by going on Facebook and filling out a form myself. So it's having an appointment with myself because he didn't show up. I just looked up all his stuff while I was sitting there. And we can all do little things like this. And this is what's going to separate you, right? So Dave, what do you think that he is going to get from me this week? He's getting a second gift. Chico State blanket, right? Chico State blankets, where he graduated from. You get something personal. It's $20. This is a gift. Hey, I don't know why you're still not meeting with me. I know it's cold outside. Here's a blanket. Hopefully it'll keep you warm. Like let's get this thing going. And you have to just find ways to meet with these people. Now, some people are asking me, and when I say some people, my loan officers and my students that I coach are asking me, I just hate cold calling. Like, how are you doing it, man? How are you just cold calling these people? So I don't like cold calling either. So I am cold calling, but I also am figuring out ways to warm it up. Let me give you an example. I have a great friend, really close friend, who is also my landscaper. He does all my landscape maintenance. He runs a landscaping company. He's a landscape contractor, great guy. And he is a gregarious connector. He's just, everyone knows who he is, Mr. Vice. We call him Mr. Vice, right? Like he is amazing. So I was like, hey, do you know this guy, Peter? Do you know this guy, Jeff? And he was like, oh yeah, man, I know that. Oh, dude, yeah, of course I know that, man. And I'm like, would you mind just text introducing me real quick to him? Oh, of course, man. Of course, that's how he talks. Of course, man. I'll introduce you to him. Boom. Introduction text. I'm off to the races. Find a person who knows the person. Like find a it's not that difficult. Like Dave is a master at it for the record. He'll like just be having a conversation with me and he'll ask, oh yeah, hey, so you know so and so? And I'm like, oh yeah, they're great. You know, because you feel valid. Oh yeah, I know that person. Hey, also, hey, would you mind connecting us? Oh, sure, of course. Oh, I wouldn't mind connecting you. So become a master of warming up the cold by just finding one person that knows who they are and get a simple introduction. Would you mind just text introducing us real quick? It really is that simple. And these little things are going to separate you in this market. Just going after the big dogs, the people that are doing business, not being fearful of talking to them. And the reality is they need your help right now because they're all down. They're all down big. So they need our help big time.
So give us a reaction. What do you think of what Jeremy has shared so far? I mean, I think it's been incredible. You've given us high level strategy. You've given us inspiration to separate. You gave us your, 20 agents. Remember, guys, Jeremy has 30% of the highest producing loan officers in Sonoma County as referral relationships, and he's got 20. And he's got 5 clear, measurable activities that he's going to do with all those folks. And then also, and I know this about Jeremy, he's not in the interest rate, worried about interest rate. He's in the action economy, like action economy, measure actions that win. That's the economy that Jeremy is focused on, his personal actions and what those deliver. Jeremy, where does showing a realtor that you're an advisor in a total cost analysis, where does that fit into like these 20 agents that you're going to have
Yep.
conversations with, you're going to have 2 meetings, you're going to do thank yous, you're going to do video. Where does a TCA fit into that process?
That's an excellent question. So, and one clarifying point, it's really supposed to be 10 agents at a time over 10 weeks. I'm just like separating myself on it. So I doubled it. I'm going 20, but it's start with 10. If you're already like, oh God, 20 people I don't know at all, and they're doing a lot of business, just start with 10. It's all good. 10 is the actual number. I made 2 lists, 20. That's what I'm doing. So how do TCAs fit in? You know what's funny about Dave Savage, you guys, everyone watching this, is that we don't talk about this stuff, I swear to God, before we get on. And I feel like he's in my mind and I'm in his mind. He's throwing me softballs. So another bullet point I have written down here is within these agents that I'm targeting, how am I leveraging it with video, but specifically with a total cost analysis that can help them. So I created a video yesterday that has a total cost analysis built into it. All right. And I actually recorded it on Zoom because it's me talking first. I did it with like a high quality camera, and then it shares the TCA and I walk them through a strategy. So here's an example of how you can do this. And Dave, it is okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
Great. So this is going to go out to everyone this Friday, right? So this is going to go out to my realtors as well as this is going to go out. Now, listen, if you're in my market right now, don't try to beat me to it and send it out today, please. Don't do that. Or if you do, give me credit at least. I'd appreciate that. So it's like, so this is going to go out. And and this happened because of a realtor who does a lot of business, by the way, called me last week saying, hey, Jeremy, it's Terry. Haven't talked to you in a really long time. We don't work together, by the way. But she's like, I don't know if you have any buyers for this listing I have. It's a great listing. There's an ADU on it. It seems like everyone's so focused on the interest rate. It generates $2,000 a month of income. Like, do you have anyone that's interested in it? And I said, you know what? Not off the top of my head, but let me make you a video, right? And let's see if I can play with this. So here's what I came up with, and I'll show it to you. So share my screen. Cool.
We see
Let
it.
me move this. I know this is the wrong one though. Here we go. All right. So what you're seeing here is me doing, and I did a video of this, I'm going to walk you through it, is showing someone on this $1 million purchase, okay, with 20% down, at 7.5% interest rate. And remember, this is for informational purposes only. I'm not putting in all the closing costs. It's just to show them that by using the rents from the accessory dwelling unit, that their portion of the payment is the same as a 3.5% interest rate. Okay, so stay with me here. So this is if they're just looking at the raw numbers, 7.5%. Their payment with taxes and insurance is $6,800 a month, and that's that. Now, in the second column, I walked through and I highlighted as I went. I said, okay, this is with using the rents, same 20% down. You get $2,000 a month in rent right here. Okay, this is the rent that they'd be receiving from it. Your payment you're responsible for is $4,834 because the tenant's responsible for $2,000 a month of it. Here's what's crazy. That's the same as you paying a 3.5% interest rate. So it's the same as you paying a 3.5% interest rate, just from a payment perspective. So doing things like this changes the way people see you, as well as gives realtors, your realtor partners, something else to talk about from a strategy perspective. So is the rate 3.5%? No, that's not the point. It's that the payment that the borrower will be paying, their portion is the same as if they had a 3.5% rate. So getting creative like this is really going to help you stand out and really going to give you other things to talk about. In the video, I mentioned that I didn't make it for the specific listing. So I said, this could be an accessory dwelling unit. This could also be a house hacking strategy on if this is a 4-bedroom house and you're going to rent out 2 of the bedrooms for $1,000 a piece. This works the same way. It's just like if you were actually paying 3.5% interest rate. So things like that, Dave, I'm using total cost analysis like that to showcase different ideas, ways that agents can be creative when presenting information like to prospective buyers so that they understand and can have a different conversation with them.
So guys, just to make sure this is super clear, I mean, one of the, if not the biggest problem in American housing, obviously people say inventory crisis, but affordability crisis. And Jeremy is helping solve that. And he's helping realtors with ideas to help them sell homes. And he's using MortgageCoach to help visualize that and show that. And this is just one idea. Can't recommend enough that you have maybe not a different strategy every week, but at least every month. Like, what are you doing to help realtors sell more homes? And here's what's happening. Realtors that are working with Jeremy, they're like, he's super smart. He is focused on more than just closing loans. He's focused on helping me sell more homes. So I love that strategy. Will you share that TCA? So if you watch this on YouTube, there'll be a link to that TCA down below. One more little ask, Jeremy, would you mind after the call recording a video as though you're sharing this with an agent? Like if you were sharing this with a specific agent, just give us a little talk track on the video so that anyone that clicks on this link will get a example of how you would position this and share this with an agent. Is that cool?
Yeah. So I already have that done. So I can send that link. Well, I'll send you the link that I'm going to send out. It's already recorded.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And you might want to copy that and do it. Anyways, however you want to do it, just so we don't, because I have a feeling there's going to be over 1,000 people that watch this video and hundreds of loan officers are going to click on that. So you may want to do a copy. So the same one you give to realtors, you're not giving to the industry, but whatever. What about you're a first home IQ ambassador. And by the way, dude, you did that video you did in Instagram, just announcing that, hey, I'm a first home IQ ambassador. I mean, that was just a case study on how we hope the ambassadors of First Home IQ are gonna, show up and announce themselves. So great job on that, brother. How are you weaving that into separation season? Or is that something that's different than separation season?
Nope, it's the same. So once again, Dave's like a psychic. So here, I'm checking off all my things I wrote down here. Did that. I wrote down leveraged classes, leveraged exposure. So this has to do with first home IQ. And so I'm trying to do as many leveraged activities as I can. So a leveraged activity to me is being in front of 5 or more people at a time. Okay, so think education first and foremost. So I have been chasing not only, we're talking about realtor top producers, I've also been chasing companies, right, to partner with and become part of their fiscal literacy, HR, okay, fiscal literacy, human resources. So I signed a deal with the Sonoma County Vintners Association. Okay, there's over 2,000 people that are members of this. And I am just offering free fiscal literacy and classes once a quarter. And then they send out emails to everyone on my behalf. So I'm getting marketed to 1,800 people that I don't know, that don't know me, and they are driving people to these classes as part of their organization. So on Wednesday, we're having our first, my first home IQ presentation about what's going on in the market, interest rates, talking about budgeting and fiscal literacy. And we're going to absolutely crush it. 35 people in person. It's also recorded on Zoom, and the recording will be sent out to everyone. So these are the things that we're going to talk about. Is number one, we're going to talk about what is going on in the Sonoma County real estate market, right? How has affordability become an issue, and how are we overcoming it? The outlook on mortgage rates, important strategies to know if you buy or refinance in today's market, new loan programs for self-employed individuals and first-time home buyers, as well as like a 25-minute Q&A. So it's really, really an incredible thing to be able to go out into the community and present and educate this type of stuff when a lot of people don't know where to start. So if they don't know where to start, they certainly aren't going to know how to finish. And you have to start with the finish in mind. So I'm going to go over the wealth accumulator, right? Like I believe that someone shouldn't buy a house that's any more than 3 to 5 times whatever their annual income is. I believe that they should have 3 months of survival money saved minimum. 6 months is the recommendation that they won't use towards closing costs and down payment. So teaching people how to do a savings plan in advance. I believe if they have a 401k, they should 100% participate in it and get whatever match they get from the employer. So if someone gets a 3% match, right, then they should minimum have a 6% a deduction to their 401k participation. That way they're getting a 50% return on investment from their employer. These are the things that I talk about in the education of building wealth, right? Like how do we go through these quadrants? And the fourth quadrant is advanced strategies, right? Like investing in index funds, if you've maxed out the 401k, buying additional real estate, investment properties, et cetera, and how that works. So these are the things that you can, if you're having a hard time like calling agents or calling people and not knowing what to talk about that. Talk about dreams, talk about vision, and then show people a path on how to get there. So I'm super excited about that. That's tomorrow. And I'll show you what it looks like if you guys are curious. When you partner up with organizations, they do the marketing for you. This is the email that went out, right? The Sonoma County Industry Opportunity Network, right? All you need to know about the Sonoma County market. They put in like a video from me with them, telling them exactly what we're going to talk about, like just what I went over with you. And of course, I offered an incentive, right? Anyone that does loans with me as part of this partnership, we're going to waive $2,198, right? We're going to give them a credit towards anyone that apps with us, closes with us, as well as any referrals from the program. So this is what it looks like. I did not create this. Once again, they created it on my behalf. And I think that there is a ton of opportunities out there. I want to point out one last thing. Other people leverage you. Look at down here. There's a contact Jeremy button, but there is also follow Jeremy on Instagram with a link. So start putting stuff like this into your marketing so people know where to find you, and you'll get more followers, and then you can get more engagement. And it's a long-term play, but it will pay huge dividends if you can be in front of the audience you want to be in front of over an extended period of time.
All right, guys. So much. I mean, we still have, almost half the call. We still have 25 minutes. So if you have questions or comments, put it down below. Give us a reaction. Let us know if you're getting value so far from this conversation. Notice that Jeremy did put a link. Oh, he actually gave it to the host. So I will share this total cost analysis in a minute with everyone. I do want to provide a couple highlights on First Home IQ. And then Jeremy, if you could, you mentioned Instagram. I've noticed that you're using Instagram more. So I'm going to, in a minute, I want you to just share your vision on that.
Yep.
But guys, we have fully launched the ambassador program now. And the way we look at this is Gen Z are born into financial barriers. I mean, they have real challenge. And at the same time, their parents have a record amount of equity. So there is
Yep.
opportunity. And you know what? If they don't have parents with a record amount of equity, there's more down payment assistance programs and more community options and creativity. Loan officers that know how to do house hacking strategies. And now there's new programs where you can buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex with a smaller down payment is an owner rock. So the mission is really clear. Turn lenders and loan officers into the first responders of this financial literacy war. And it's game on. Like Jeremy is an ambassador. We've got some incredible loan officers that are ambassadors. We have a lot of like free content for teachers, for students, for parents, for anyone that just wants to go to firsthomiq.com. You can take a test, and this test is very comprehensive. It's very cool. You know, I've given it to people that got a really low score, and I've given it to people I didn't think that got a really high score. Recently, we've had a number of ambassadors that are saying, you know what, every first-time home buyer, regardless of their age, I'm giving them this score. It's helping that, it's educating them, and it's helping me know where they're at. Did they get a really high score? Did they get a really low score? The ambassador program, are mortgage professionals that have made a commitment to donate a certain percentage, not percentage, an amount of money per loan. Suggested is $100 per closed loan, but whatever. They're donating a certain amount of money on closed loans. They're getting branding. You don't know this, Jeremy, but we're creating a link so that when you forward that First Home IQ test, it helps you. You'll know who took the test. You'll know how they did on the test. And it's helping you build your database so that every single person that takes this First Home IQ test is like, you know what they're doing and you're building your database. What do you like that?
I freaking love it. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, you talk about a way to get people focused on the right things, right? We talk about so much about sales, but really there is no sales and selling. And Sean Herrero says that all the time. I've said that for a decade too. I'm the least salesy I've ever been in my career. The least. There's nothing to sell. There's literally vision planning, vision execution, vision planning, vision execution. You're just educating people. You don't ever need to sell anyone on a strategy. You just have to educate them on why the strategy is going to work for them. That's it. And then you let them make the decision. So I love it. I think that it's great. While you were talking, I started to fill out my First Home IQ score myself here.
Yeah, check it out. There's presentations. So if you're an ambassador, there's presentations. And we have over 90 people that have applied. We've approved 26. Jeremy is one of those 26. Sean Herrero is one of those 26. Josh Metal is actually doing a class soon, and it's going to be recorded. And we'll have some game film so that you can see how are the best loan officers doing this education. So if you want to be an ambassador, sign up, get on the list. We'll put a link to the list, or you can just put your phone camera over this and it will take you to the sign up form. But we really want to get over 100 people who want to do it. And we're probably going to approve, I think it's next week, Kristen is going to pick 25 more ambassadors. and we'd love to get some folks signed up. All right, Jeremy. Any more? Oh, I do want to just I'll put a link to this in chat, but for any ambassadors, if you go to Jeremy's Instagram, you'll notice, I don't know, is it going to say the date here? I'll put a link to it, but he put a little image to his ambassador, and then he put a cool little video, so one, I'll put a link to that so any ambassadors can see how Jeremy is vision casting and positioning himself in his local market as a first responder to the financial literacy wars. Jeremy, speak to us around Instagram, because I've watched you now for, I think this is your second year of going from experimenting. I mean, for years, you were like, hey, social media is, there's business and there's busyness. And there was a season where it was busyness for you. And now, it seems to be a season where it's business. You've got some rhythms, you've got some focus, you have some goals. Anything you're willing to share on that?
I'll share anything always. So for me, I'd say I was just playing with it for the last year and 2 years, let's call it, right? And I'd hired a company 2 years ago to help me with it. And I didn't like it at the end of the year. I was just like, it's still not me really. And I felt like a lot of it was fake boosting, fake. They always denied it, which is fine, but it was obvious to me. It was just like, it's the same number of likes every single time. It's like and I just wasn't feeling it. I felt disconnected from it. So this year I decided to become a student of it, right? So I took some classes. I learned how to create videos sequentially, the correct way. And I started writing out scripts rather than me always just winging it. And winging it has its place. I mean, I'm still authentic and I'll go on and just do a video of me on my phone and stuff like that. But I upgraded my camera. I took classes on it to learn how to, okay, this is like a good formula. I learned how to write the scripts correctly. And then I learned how to deliver them. And I think that having, you don't have to have a bunch of fancy stuff like to do it, but I will tell you that it helps having a nice camera. Okay. And it helps having like a $200 microphone. Like I would usually be on my nice camera and new microphone right now, but I got stuck in traffic and turned around and I came back home. So I am on my home computer now, but I think upgrading just a little bit, not crazy, just a little bit on your camera and microphone is important. But what's the most important is, are you giving people information that will get their attention quickly and that will want them to follow you because it's a benefit to them, right? Not about you, but a benefit to them. And I've committed to, going in on that model from a personal brand standpoint. I want to help more people. And it's a very easy way to have a larger audience is the bottom line, right? With the right message. So just think about all the stuff that annoys you on social media. And this is why I didn't really participate in it very much for a long time. So I was like, gosh, it's just people like barfing their feelings or complaining or whatever, right? And I was negative about it. I was the problem. So I changed my mindset to go, I'm going to post stuff that like I think is really going to help other people and stuff that I would want to watch. And so with this new resurgence, I would say, or like me doing these studies and then going all in, I do like to sit back when I truly don't understand something and watch from afar for a little while. So I did that for the first half of the year. I watched from afar. I watched people I thought that were doing it great. The Shivanis, the Neil Holm, the Sean Herreros, I was just watching. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to take a class and now I'm going to execute. And I'm just executing 1 or 2 reels a day. There's a lot of really easy templates you can use in Instagram, by the way. I get that question all the time. They're like, how are you making these crazy cool videos synced up with? I'm not, you guys. I click on templates in reels and I just find one I like and I upload stuff. And so it's actually way easier to use. It's also a great way to drive people from a content standpoint. So think about consumers and realtors to your social platforms. So if I'm going to send out a text, call it marketing thing, like about a 2-1 buy down, I will send the text to the 40 agents that I'm working with, or in the 20 that I'm prospecting. hey, check out this cool video, could help you sell more homes. If you don't understand how this buy down strategy works, give me a call. But then it has a link to my Instagram reel so that they click on it, they see it on Instagram, and then they follow you as well. So little simple tricks like that, I think are great. I haven't done any paid promotions since I started doing it this time around, nothing like that. And I just passed, like, one of my reels just has like 100,000 views. You know, they take off on their own, because if you want people to share your content, I'd say the biggest mistake that I see people make, by the way, and the biggest mistake that I used to make, Dave, when doing this, number one, you don't have to be funny. Sometimes we play the funny card a little bit too much. You don't have to be funny. And number two, though, is that when you are talking to the audience, you're just talking to one person. So I see this with real estate agents all the time. They start with like, hey, it's Sally Lang with Remax Marketplace, Cotati, California. Like, that's the worst thing you could do. Like, in a video that you're making, you just start with the content. You don't have to say who you are. They know who you are. And you're really just trying to make a connection to one person when you're making the video, not to 100,000 people. If you make it just for one person that you're educating and don't know, that's what will get shared. That's what people will connect with and watch, because it doesn't feel like marketing. It's just education.
Dude, so good. So guys, we are getting into the fourth quarter of this time with Jeremy. So if you do have questions of any sort down below, put those questions down below. I'm going to be interviewing, what's his name's Jefferson later this week. One of my favorite Instagram people. Uh, he was one of the speakers at uh, Amplify, the Amplify AmpCon. And this guy, I'm going to forward a link down below. I'll be interviewing him in a couple of days. Has built up over the course of a year. He was an attorney, and he started using Instagram because he wanted to, promote his law practice. And same as Jeremy, he saw the value of scale. If you start watching his Instagram, you'll see, like, at first it just started like he's obviously an attorney trying to pitch his law firm. And now he's turned it into one of the hottest Instagram pages. I actually found the guy because I saw him somehow and I forwarded it to my kids. I'm like, hey, everybody, watch this guy. So I'm going to put a link in a minute here, but I want to make the point: you can build a huge following, you can create huge scale, and you don't have to have a big budget to do that. Like, he's doing all the video himself, everything on this link that I'm going to send you, he's doing himself. Jeremy, before we run out of time, anything you got on your list that, it's separation season, anything else that you want to share that you want to make sure
Yeah.
people get?
Two other things I would say. Once again, I talked about leverage. So think about classes that you can do, and don't overlook non-QM loans. Non-QM loans are huge right now. They're making up 30% of all the loans that I'm doing in my branch, my personal production, my region. They're huge. So don't be afraid to create like a really simple, and I'm happy to share it, of course, Dave. I'll send it to you guys. Like, I'm teaching a class next week on 4 ways to grow, right, in 2023 with non-QM qualified mortgages. So understanding like what they are, and just I put together like a really simple little playbook on what it is, how it works, who benefits from this type of stuff. And I know the file is really big, so it's going to take time to load. So I'll stop sharing, but I'll share this presentation with you guys if you want to. You can feel free to copy it, use it. Don't be afraid to talk about the non-QM loans, the bank statement programs, the 1099 programs where people don't have W-2 income, the DSCR investment property programs for people that write everything off their taxes but have a big portfolio, mixed use loans, ITIN loans, asset qualifiers. These are all tools that we all have access to that we should 100% be using to our advantage. So there's that. Last thing I want to touch base on too is you left me a note on this too about meeting with like whales in my market, or top producers in my market. For the most part, it's not unit based so much. It's they're doing big transactions, right? And sometimes those individuals they work with banks, right? Private banks, et cetera. And they, you left me a voicemail memo, Dave, about like a friend of ours who was like, oh my
Well,
gosh, I met with this person.
yeah,
Yeah.
let me frame it real quick. So I was on Renee Rodriguez's mastermind. I'm not going to mention the loan officer's name, but she's a whale. Like
A
literally,
baller,
yeah,
baller.
like if there was a mortgage hall of fame, this is someone
Yep.
that would be in the mortgage hall of fame. And she was saying I met with a very large, high producing real estate agent, and they were just like super obsessed over the interest rate that their clients are getting and how important, like she's like, in a way that I've never seen before. And she's like, usually my reputation and my, how well I'm respected in terms of closing loans on time. And she's a mortgage coach. The advice she delivers uh, is enough to like, oh yeah. But no, this agent was super obsessed about realtors. And again, she's going to win this realtor. Like she wasn't like, but she was like,
Right.
any suggestions or thoughts? So
Yeah.
I wanted to frame it a little bit more. If you could, add the Jeremy Forcier strategy to it.
I think it's great because I've experienced this too, right? Where I'm like shocked and I'm like, I mean, my first feeling when that happens to me is uh, irritation, and I have to dismiss it immediately. Of course, it's like, really? My response internally is always, oh no, totally. So I assume you work for 1% on all of your deals, right? Because it's really important to you that like they get the best deal on the real estate transaction, right? Like that's what I want to say, but that's not right. So don't think like that. But that is, I still feel that way when it happens to me. It's happened to me a handful of times. So here's what I always say when I'm put in those positions. Is I always go, absolutely. Number one, the easiest way to disarm someone is to agree with them. Period. Yeah, I agree. They should get the best possible rate for their unique circumstance and what they qualify for. I actually do believe that, by the way. But that's number one. And number two is that I tell them that, hey, all things should be created equal at the end of the day. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to beat the rates that they get, but I can tell you that they should be pretty much the same. And if there is a one-off program that your client can get because they have like a high net worth or something like that, I'm going to direct them to the right choice, even if it's not working with me. But at the end of the day, I have all of the same stuff. I have the private banking options, right? I have a lender that will, if you deposit $500,000 with them and you hold it, they get 3/8% off of the interest rate. So I am going to be a great asset for you. And if your lender that you currently work with doesn't do anything that's outside of the box and that's all they do are like the super A vanilla loans, I would love to talk to them as well and see if I could be a resource for them. So I like to turn it into, hey, I'm basically the same. And I'm also happy to help your current lender. Like if they have stuff that they can't do, we would hate to decline a client. I have a lot of flexibility too outside of that. So all the reason I share this with you all is that all you're trying to do and all I'm trying to do is get an opportunity. I just want to get an opportunity with the client. Like, and then if I can win that client over within that opportunity, the realtor is not really involved in it, right? They're not like, send me the estimated closing statement, send me this. Like it doesn't really happen like that, but you do have to be prepared to respond at least and know how to go at it. I like to go at it with absolutely. I think it's super important to agree with them and then tell them that you basically are all have the same stuff. If there is something that's way better for a unique circumstance, I'm going to tell them to go that way. But if your people can't do all of the transactions either that I can do with the flexibility, I would love to help them with those transactions as well. Like just pivoting a little bit so you can get the opportunity is more important than explaining why you're more expensive or you're perceived to be more expensive.
Yeah, and my takeaway between what you just said and I think it was when we were on our walk yesterday morning, you talked about a credit union that I'm not going to name, but that has
Yeah,
a 5-year arm that's, like super
great
low.
product.
And
Yep.
and Jeremy's like, you know what? There's times where I refer people to them, and he went and got a relationship with them. And so I think if you can, and if the unnamed person that is watching this, I think the idea that you are an advisor that's always going to look out for that consumer's best interest, and you're okay with giving them advice around how to structure the loan, and achieve financial freedom. If they do the loan somewhere else, you're going to be good to go with that. And you'll even direct them. I mean, I do
Yeah.
think that's a great strategy. I do want to remind folks, because I just noticed Heath said he's been out of the mortgage business and he's back. By the way, great job, Heath. This is the time to get in when it's tough and get in. This 10X training, trustengine.com/10X, where I kicked it off with Jeremy, how to win with rate shoppers. And then I've interviewed just a lot of epic, incredibly successful. All of these people are gaining market share, and all these people are using Trust Engine and Mortgage Coach to win. Make sure you check this out. And it also made me realize, because you asked, hey, how should I be using Rate Watch in this market? And while I have a lot of interviews and a lot of content on how you should be using Rate Watch, I just realized I didn't do anything for 10X and how I would use Rate Watch in this market. So Heath, I will do an interview or two
I like that.
coming soon on that. But Jeremy, if you don't mind speaking to Heath's question, I don't know if you see it or I need to read it. Do you see it?
I can pull it up. Yeah.
Well, here, I'll just read it.
So
For anyone
I
that's
got
not...
it right here. So I'm re-entering the mortgage business after 13-year hiatus. Use Mortgage Coach in the early 2000s. How are you leveraging the Rate Watch function in this high rate market? So here's what I will tell you about leveraging Rate Watch. There's not a call to action, in my opinion, but once again, it is education. So I think that being educated in it and in the graphs and being able to regurgitate or recycle some of the things that are said in the updates, and you can take screenshots of it, and then create like little videos of it. You can show people that, hey, we're breaking above, the 100-day moving average. We're going to have this is going to be tough to break through this level of support. But for the most part, it's just sharing the information and showing people how volatile things are. I think that is the best way that you can leverage it, is showing people that this is why it's so important to work with an expert. I pay attention to this on a daily basis. I am an expert and I have access to the best technology around it, so that I will always make sure that you get the best deal humanly possible when you are purchasing a home. That is the way that I leverage it, or that I use it. Like when, I'll give you an example. So a couple of weeks ago, when rates, or 10 days ago, when rates started to get a little bit better, I had a $2.6 million transaction going, loan amount, like a big loan for me. Right. And the person was like, oh, rates, but they were committed to me, but I was like, hey, let's float for a couple of days. Like, let's see how the market works. If you want me to lock it, I'll lock it now. We got a really nice bump. And I just took a screenshot, right, of the rate watch and said, hey, check this out. We had a really big bump today. I think that we should lock today if you're okay with it, because usually when we move up that quickly, it's going to move down a little bit again, meaning down is bad, right? Down a little bit again, and rates might, be a little bit higher than they are today at the best price. And they said, that's great. Go ahead and lock it, right? So that's how I'm using the tools, or screenshots, sharing it with them, and using it that way. I think that's the best use of it.
Yeah. And one more footnote before we wrap it up. I wrote a LinkedIn article called The Conversion Playbook. And there's some really good content on that. Heath, if you put that question in our Facebook group or some version of that, I'll share a link to that and some videos and at the end of the day, you're just letting consumers know, as Jeremy said, that you got them. Rates don't change weekly, daily, they change all the time. And I got you. And use it as a visual tool to deliver on that. Jeremy, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to share before
It's
we
went
wrap
by
it?
really, really fast. I would just say I would just leave you all with, I'm in it with you. I am not super special. We're all special in our own way. I am more focused than I've been in a decade. And it takes extreme focus, right? And for you to get a little bit more detailed and not just dream. This isn't the time to just dream, right? Like, it's not. Like, dreaming is great, but without the actions on a daily basis that you're measuring and making sure that you're working towards the dream is way more important. So just take action. Like you said something, Dave, I wrote down, I'll leave you with this, you guys. is that this is an action economy. I wrote that down and circled it. This is an action economy. And you just have to take massive action right now and be okay with whatever the monetary results are, but don't be okay with lack of action.
Yeah, and I just noticed a couple questions in Q&A that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
And guys, there's a Jeremy Forcier playlist. So like Lisa, your question, how do you effectively maintain and cultivate, numerous relationships while ensuring their quality and strength? I mean, if you listen to some of the Jeremy Forcier content we have, it's packed full of it. This won't be the last time I interview Jeremy. We'll get to that. For folks, be sure to use the chat. Like I see things as they come into chat. I should figure out how I could turn off that Q&A feature. And apologies for not having time to get that. But guys, we got to respect Jeremy's schedule. It's got to get out there, slay dragons, gain market share. Really appreciate you, brother. This is a wrap.
All right, man. Hey, thanks, buddy. You guys have a great day. Take care.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.